So, Sharebear, what pisses you off?
Well, I'll tell you, Fonzie. So, today I'm sitting there in class and I have detention. Well, it wasn't really class, it was more like after school and it was all like, ah. So, I was like, hey, I'm on the bus. And then I was like, oh fuck, I have detention. So, I start walking off the bus, I'm like, Mrs. L, I have detention. She's like, oh, to nose. And then I'm like, yeah. And then she's all like, well, leave. And I'm like, okay. And I walk in and I'm like, yo, detention, right? And she'd be all like, yeah, but you're late. I'm like, okay, so what? I'll make up the time that I didn't make. And she's like, well, that's too bad because I don't like you and I'm gonna be mean to you. All what? And she's like, you have to reschedule this detention. I'm like, no. I went to the office and I'm all like, Mr. Diamond, I need to reschedule this. And he's like, why? And I'm all like, well, because I was all like on the bus and then I told him the whole story. He's like, well, why doesn't the teacher like you? And I'm like, well, it's quite simple. What happened was, last time I had detention, about 4 days ago, I started drawing on the desk. She was all like, so that's why she doesn't like me. And that bugs me with teachers because you shouldn't be prejudiced against students who like to draw on desks. I had this teacher earlier this year who was all like, you know what? Because you wear black pants and listen to ICP, I'm not going to like you. So I fell asleep in his class and he came up and he was like, yeah, bad Sharebear. And I was like, no, you can't do that, you're a teacher. So the next day, I fell asleep in his class and he threatened to hit me again and I'm like, no. Hey look, I have sucker. And he's like, you can't have that sucker. And then he goes all like, rape shit. Like 2 days later, I was sitting in class and I was all like, sad face. Because I did not want to do the assignment that he had assigned. So I was like, give me a minute, I'll do it. I will reach into my book bag and I will grab this here in a second. He was like, oh, you feel bad. Do you want to go to the clinic? I don't want to go to the clinic. I don't feel bad. Leave me alone. Oh, you're feeling bad. I'll write you a pass for the clinic. And I'm like, I'm leaving this class. And he's like, you can't leave that class. I don't like being in your class. You're a pain in the ass. You're prejudiced against juggalos. And I walk out and I'm all like, yeah, have a nice day. And I also have this teacher. I was all like, she was all like, you can't sleep. Okay, so I woke up and then I'm like, can I go potty? What? And I'm like, I need to go potty. You can go potty. So I go potty and 2 days later I have to go potty again. And she's like, you know what? Just go. You're never in class anyways. I'm like, where the hell did that come from? She just doesn't like me. And I don't know why. And I don't like that when teachers do that. And stuff.